Hey guys, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. Should we talk about the most controversial video that I've ever posted on my channel? I feel like maybe we should, so let's do that. If you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. I normally would tell you that I talk about like this handful of products, but I talk about a lot of things. I am learning that I'm a multifaceted person with lots of interests. So those interests include fashion and beauty, lifestyle, hacks, mommy and Amazon, favorites, a plethora of different things. So if any of those things interest you, then subscribe. Back in March of 2021, I posted my gender disappointment video. And I got more love and more hate from that video than I ever have from any other video I've ever posted. On one hand, it was hundreds of women messaging me, telling me that they feel the same way. So many people in my DMs on Instagram because they didn't want to share publicly on a comment on YouTube. It was mind-blowing. Even now, if you go through the comments, quite frankly, I've still, to this day, I get at least one nasty comment on that video every week, and that was almost a year and a half ago, but I just go ahead and delete them because I don't need that kind of negativity. And I think if somebody's going through gender disappointment, the last thing they need is to read through the comments of that video and hear about how horrible of a person they thought I was, which in turn would make that person. Anyway, you will not see negative comments on there, although there have probably been just as many negative comments as positive. But the amount of positive comments and other people feeling that way just blew my mind. I knew that I felt that way and that there must be other people like me. I had no idea that there were that many people who would be able to relate and who just had words of encouragement and who just also felt validated from watching my video and felt not alone, which I'm so thankful for. That is the number one reason why I made that video. And so it felt fitting that I should do a video a year later. When I made that video, I felt like I was mostly over my gender disappointment at that point. I had done a lot of work on it and I wasn't going to share online if I wasn't over it because I didn't feel like that would be fair to Theo. And so I wanted to make sure I was through it before I shared. And I've definitely felt like I was. But now looking back, I don't know if I fully was or maybe this is just motherhood, but the day that we had Theo, like my world was so rocked and I was so overcome with like joy and love for him that it made me feel like my entire pregnancy I felt nothing towards him, even though I did feel like I was connected to him. But the connection that I had to him while pregnant versus when he entered the world is just like, nothing compares to it. I wanted to make a video today and just talk about what are the things that I did that I really think helped me, where I'm at now, what I would do if I had gender disappointment now, what are the things that really helped, and just how I'm feeling about all of it. If you missed that first video, I will link it up here in the cards so that you can go back and watch. It is a very real, vulnerable video. I actually filmed it in the old SB office. I went through all of the reasons why I was really vulnerable in that video, so definitely have a look if you are going through something similar right now. I've actually had this conversation with a couple of people now, and I have been asked, do you think you'll have gender disappointment again if you got pregnant and found out you were having another boy? And it's such an interesting thing because I don't know the answer to that. I have no idea. Part of me still really, really wants to experience being a girl mom. I still want to have that relationship like what I have with my own mom. And I just don't know what the relationship will be like with Theo when he's older and he's in his 30s. Like, is he gonna call me every day? Probably not. And that kind of makes me sad. But also, if I had a daughter, would she call me every day? Who knows? It's such a toss-up. It's human by human. It's not gender by gender. So that part of it, I have no idea. Would I be disappointed? I don't know. And then oh my gosh, I love Theo so much. It hurts. I never want to be away from him. Like, he is so joyful, so happy. And part of me is like, how cute would it be for Theo to have a little brother and for us to have these two little brothers with this inseparable bond, which again, like, who knows if they would be close or if they wouldn't. There's so many variables in these situations, but That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I have no idea if I would be disappointed. On one hand, I really would love to experience both just because I do think that they would be different and it would be nice to have one of each. But on the other hand, I just think it'd be so fun for Theo to have a brother. It's just hard to say right now. I'm not pregnant and I don't know when I'll be pregnant again. So, it's hard to predict how I will feel. Whereas with my first pregnancy, I knew going into it that I wanted a girl. So I already knew, I think, that I would be disappointed if I found out it was a boy. Whereas now I don't know if I was pregnant what I would want. Maybe when I find out I'm pregnant, I'll have like a certain thought one way or another. I don't know. But I truly hope that either way I'm not disappointed, because feeling that gender disappointment felt like such a dark place. And I was already really struggling with my mental health through my pregnancy. So adding that gender disappointment on was not a helpful situation. Part of me feels like I will be sad either way, because if it's a girl, that means that I won't be giving Theo a brother. And if it's a boy, that means that I will never experience having a girl. So I guess the only option is to get pregnant with twins that are one of each, right? Just kidding. I am not wishing myself to have twins. As far as things that helped me, that I really, really, truly feel helped me, were one, picking out his name. There were a couple names that we test drove, and basically we would choose a name that we wanted to like test drive, and then for a couple of weeks we would only refer to the baby as that name. And we got to Theo and I just loved his name. There were a couple of things that we did before he was born that just feel really special. Like, we at the time were working on the bathroom upstairs, and inside of the drywall we wrote a little note, and I wrote something like Adam, Sarah, and Theo's home 2021 or something like that. So that was before he was born that we wrote that in there. And so it kind of, those are the types of things that were like special that we were including him in, that made it feel real and made him feel like a person that was already part of our family. I guess just like naming him and like really putting a human to the other side of the pregnancy really helped me. The other thing that I said was decorating the nursery. So part of the superficial side of gender disappointment is like the clothes and the bows and the, you know, all of that. But I think I imagined having a boy meant that everything had to be like those like bright saturated red and blue and trucks and whatever. And that does not have to be the case. I made his nursery very neutral, which actually I feel like it would have worked for a girl or a boy. And I love it. It is so calming in there. It's peaceful. It's just, it makes me happy. I think making the nursery something that I felt like was beautiful, but also something that would work for a little boy, made me feel more connected to him, because it was like something that I loved. And so just because it was for a little boy didn't mean that it wouldn't also match my style. And I think that kind of helped me with like the superficial things of like getting him dressed and stuff. And now he's got a bunch of hats and some cute shoes, and I'm like always on a mission to find the most adorable clothes. And it's something that you don't have to work as hard to do if you have a girl, but if you have a boy, it's totally possible to dress them in really cute clothes. They don't have to wear the ugliest thing ever. So that's something that I think it helped me because it made me feel more connected to him. Doing the deep digging of why you feel the way you feel, I think, is truly the most important piece of the puzzle. If I hadn't gone through and figured out that I was trying to replace my relationship with my mom with my unborn child, which is impossible anyway because we're all different humans and there is no relationship on the planet that's the exact same as mine and my mom's, because there's no other person that's exactly the same as my mom or as me. So just figuring out that I wanted to replace that relationship, it made me realize that that was impossible no matter what. And it kind of really just gave me, at first it made me really upset, to be honest, because I then went through this whole like mourning in my mom, even though she's alive thing, which was like not great with pregnancy hormones. But looking back now, that was really helpful long term, because I went through all of those emotions, and now I'm at a point that I realize I now have a child that I get to nurture and foster this relationship with as he grows up. And, you know, the two of us are in charge of what the dynamic of our relationship is like in the future, and it's special. Like right now, we're BFFs, we're inseparable, we're together all the time. Theo's obviously only one right now, so I have no idea what his interests will be, but right now there are like, I don't know, 4 books that he wants to read all day long. And truly, there's nothing I'd rather do than read him these same stupid books over and over and over again. I've actually memorized quite a few of the books that he likes, and he just turns the page and then I just say the words and he can look at the pictures because I don't even need to look at the pages anymore. If that was someone else's kid, I'm pretty sure I would have quit that babysitting job or like sent the kid back to its parents. I would not be able to handle that. But with Theo, I'm like, if you love it, then I love it. And I feel like that's going to be how it is through his entire life. Like if he gets really into, I don't know, building sailboats. That's like the most random thing that I came up with because I don't know a single person who's built sailboats. But if that's what he was into, then I think that I would learn everything there was to learn about building a sailboat and be there cheering him on and asking him questions about whatever he goes into building a sailboat. And if he's really into a sport that I don't know the rules, then I know that I'm just going to go through and learn all the rules so that I can be his biggest cheerleader. I think my main goal of this video is to let you know that if you are going through it right now, I've been there and it is not fun, but there is another side to it. And let me just tell you that it's incredible. Everyone says that boys love their moms, and I mean, I have no idea what a girl would be like because I don't have a girl, but man, that kid, the amount that he loves me is just so heart-melting. The way he smiles when I walk in a room, he hugs me so tightly, like so tight around my neck, and he like kisses me, which is, again, if another kid did this to me, I'd be totally grossed out, but he like slobbers all over you and he thinks that he's kissing you, and it is freaking adorable. He loves me so much and I know it, and it is just, I'm feeling very emotional today and I am blaming it on PMSing, but also Theo is not home with me today, which is a very rare occurrence, and now that I'm talking about him, I'm like, I just want him to be here. I just want to hug him. But I guess the main takeaway here is that there's another side to this, and man, it's so good. I got a ton of comments on that original video saying like, never share this with your son. I hope he never sees this. He's going to know how unloved he is, and you know, all of these awful comments. And it's so mind-blowing to me to think about that now because I'm pretty sure Theo is like the most loved kid on the planet. I shower him with love. I don't think it'd be possible for me to love him anymore. I can't get enough of him. I always want to hang out with him. I always want to do stuff with him. So if you're feeling guilty and you're going through this phase right now, I really hope that you don't feel like you're a bad person for feeling that way. Because, man, my kid is truly, truly, truly loved, and I was in your shoes. So that is all. I just wanted to share what's on my heart now, a year later, and just show you and tell you how good the other side of it is, and that your disappointment will not last forever. And you know, maybe someday Theo will find a woman and want to spend his life with her, and she will want to hang out with me too and do some fun girly things if Theo's out there, you know, building sailboats. So you just never know how life is going to pan out, and I could not be happier that I have Theo. Like, he is such an incredible baby. There's no way I could ever imagine having anyone except for him. So if you're going through this right now, I highly suggest, one, watching my first video and doing the things that I talk about in that video, because I just think that those things are what really helped me. Find out as early as you can so you can process. Don't avoid processing it. Go through your emotions around it. Figure out why. Dig as deep as you can. Pick a name. Figure out how to relate to them. And please don't let other people's opinions of you or judgments of you make you feel that way about yourself, because their opinions don't matter, and you are not the only one dealing with this. So many people deal with this. Read through the comments of that last video. It's mind-blowing, and you will not feel alone. I promise you, you're not alone. And I just hope that you find this encouraging now that not only did I go through it and really struggled with it, but also that I now have a 1-year-old who is the best thing ever. All right, I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it at least helped one of you out there who might be going through the same thing and just needed that extra little bit of encouragement. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.